Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast. My name is Coach Scott. I'll be your host today. It is Tuesday, May 19th. We can call this, I'm all over the place. We can call this the Ordinary Marathon Wrap-Up, the 2020 Ordinary Marathon Wrap-Up. Perhaps one of the few amazingly wonderful, great things of 2020 is the last 10 days and how we all came together and ran this year's race. It was just an incredible event, let's say. Every year it gets better and better, more and more inspiring. And man, I tell you, I'm wearing the medal today. You guys can see if you're watching the YouTube, I'm wearing the medal. It is well earned too, I gotta say. I did earn this one. I set myself some goals. I achieved those goals in some pretty solid fashion. In fact, we'll talk about it now. I set my goals to run 26.2 miles total over the 10 days. And I also set a goal to ride 112 miles. So that's Ironman distance on the bike. Now, going into the weekend, I was at 20.2 miles. So I had 6 miles left to run, and I had just 10 miles to go on the bike. But I didn't want to make it easy on myself. So on Saturday, I decided to do the bike leg. And what I did was I went on Zwift, which is our bike platform that I use for indoor training. And they have something called Alp to Zwift, which is a huge mountain climb, right? And there's a route, it's called Road to Sky. It's about 10 miles, but it starts at the bottom and about 3,200 feet of elevation later, and about 10 miles, that's the end. So I figured, you know what, let's do that. Let's challenge myself. Now, you get a competitive rider, they're finishing this in under an hour. It's harder to climb when you're heavy, especially on this platform. But I was going to give it a go, and it takes me closer to 2 hours. I think my time for just the mountain portion, which they time separately than the whole course, but just the mountain portion was about an hour and 45 minutes, which is pretty strong for me, actually. That's pretty strong. I did you did a little circle at the top, so I busted my butt up to the top of that hill. I set a record for my most watts over a 2-hour ride. My prior best was 142 average watts for a 2-hour ride, and I bettered that by a lot, 36 watts. I think I was 178 from bottom to top, which is really a tremendous effort. It just kind of goes to show what all that training the last 4 or 5 months has brought me. It's given me a lot of benefits. We're going to test my FTP out. Remember, we did that about a month ago, and it's time to retest now. And we'll see. We're going to do that tomorrow with Mike Romans. I'll talk about that in a minute. So I pushed hard on the bike. I earned my bike portion. Now, coming into Sunday, I had to run 6 miles, which normally, if I was in shape and in race shape and felt good about it, that would be kind of a no-brainer. But, I got to tell you, I'm not in running shape. I haven't been. In fact, I've been using this race to give myself, 3 miles, 3 miles, 4 mile, 3 mile, 4, whatever it was, just to try to build up to 26.2 to earn this medal and to try to get into more of a running zone, I would say, a little bit more of a routine where I can just make sure that I incorporate running more into my workouts than I have been, because I haven't really been running a lot. I've been trying, I'll do like 3 runs one week, and then the next week I'll do none. And then I'll do 2 runs the next week, and the next week I'll do 1. And I start, I have a good plan, and a plan just kind of falls apart. But the bike has always been there. Anyway, my goal here was try to just incorporate the running more into my routine and get used to it and just add it going forward. And 6 miles for me lately is a big run. I haven't run 6 miles probably since October. So for me to do that on Sunday was a challenge. It was a challenge. I did get it done Sunday night. I was hoping to go out and run. That didn't happen. The day kind of it's one of those days where you blink and everything goes by, and next thing you know, it's dark. So I did run it on the treadmill. Felt good about it. I enjoyed it. I did really well. I did really well on that run. I got the 6 miles done, and look, it's a good start for me. It's a good point to be at least now I kind of know like 6 miles is kind of where I'm at, and I got to build up. I got Philly Marathon in November, so I got to build up from there. Anyway, I'm considering this ordinary marathon a success for me. But I will say that even though it's a success for me, that story I just told you, that story of me personally trying to battle it out and get to my race goals, that is nothing compared to a lot of what I saw during this week. And I took a few notes just to write some things down. And man, I mean, there were just people running crazy amounts of miles out there. I know I saw Michelle Brotman out there putting up over 80 miles, Jen Bergstrom up over 80 miles. Man, you guys putting up those miles, I can't even, I can't, I'm not worthy. I mean, yeah, I know it covers 2 weekends, but I just kept seeing like Brotman, 15 miles. I'm like, wow. Incredible, Michelle. I thought it was amazing seeing all you guys put up so much mileage. Sabina Bowles, she's been in this race all 3 years, and she's our youngest competitor. And she went after it. She, seeing her go out there, and I don't know how old she is. I don't even want to guess because I'll insult her, but she's probably like 9 or 10 years old. Maybe a little more. I don't know. Like I said, don't insult her, but I just threw out those numbers anyway. But anyway, look, seeing pictures of her getting out there and going after it, wearing our green race shirt, man, it's so cool to see young people kind of embracing the sport, especially seeing your mom run and watching her go out and run. It's comforting. It's really nice to see. Danielle Rose Valley, I had to put on this list because Danielle decided it was a good week to go and start doing some powerlifting in her driveway. Just pictures of her like overhead pressing, whatever you're doing out there in her driveway. Just visions of Terrell Owens. I don't know if any of you guys remember when Terrell Owens was like in his driveway doing like bench press and stuff, and just all the press was there. I don't know. I just thought it was pretty badass that she got out there and she was powerlifting in her driveway. Jacob Polzin was out on Sunday, did over 100 miles. And I say he was out. He was actually on the bike trainer. Over 100 miles, I think close to 115 miles on his bike trainer that day. I mean, it took me 10 days to get to 100 and, I think I wound up with 121 miles. It took me 10 days. He did pretty much that in one afternoon, which I think is amazing and incredible. Great job, Jacob. Angela Fillmore, another just incredible. I'm in admiration of her story, which was the first day of the race. She wrote a post about how she feels uncomfortable sometimes going out to run in this day and age because you don't know how to act when you see people, and how much space do you give them? If are they responsible to give you space? Are you responsible to give them space? Do you run into driveways? Do you run into streets? All that kind of stuff. It kind of makes you a little bit anxious about going out to run. Anyway, the last day, or actually it was the second last day. It was Saturday. This past Saturday, Angela had missed a half marathon. She was training for a half marathon. The race got canceled. It was supposed to be run, I don't know, I think about a month ago, and she decided that she was going to run it during the ordinary marathon. And on the Saturday, so the 9th day of the race, she went out there and she did just that. And she completed her half marathon. So from someone who on day one of the race was having anxiety to go out and just get outside to run, to then going out and finishing a whole half marathon. I think that's an incredible story. I think that's a great job, Angela. Great story. Bill Costello, he had a race. Was it a London Marathon? I don't know. It was a big marathon. He had a race get canceled on him this year. He had been all trained up. And on Sunday, he went out and he had his daughter set up some aid stations. Some friends, I think, set up some aid stations. And he went out and he ran a full marathon, 26.2 miles. And he's fast too. He's sub 4 hours. It's probably like 3.5 hours, which is good because you don't want to have your family out there all day waiting for you. But it'd be a lot longer if it was me running it. But I think it's sort of inspirational. He was also out there wearing his green shirt, so thank you for that, Bill. And I don't know. I can't to see people doing these types of things during our race. It's just really touching, moving to me. I kind of put this together. I know it's a charity event. I know that there's no one sitting there kind of watching you and making sure that you do what you do. But I know you're out there doing it, and I think it's wonderful and great. And I'm glad that you guys can embrace this race like I do. Now, we always have a lot of people from the team, from our discussion group, from Twitter, people who we know who join the race and run right along with us. It's part of the community all the time. But we had two. We had more than two, but these two newcomers were actually locals to me, people who I've never met before, who must have found the race, I think, through the 4Run3 Club. 4Run3 does our 5K. They were supposed to, but we had to cancel that this year. Sherry B and Sandy Fielding, both of them put up between 30 and 35 miles, I think, maybe even more. But it was so nice to see them out there every day, posting to the page that they're out there running paths that are close to me, places that I've run before. It was nice to see. And then both of them going, and this is why I think sometimes this is like a little serendipitous. Both of them go and win our daily raffles on different days. Both of them won the Team Ordinary package. We gave them membership to Team Ordinary, and they'll be getting their welcome packets, their shirts, their hats, all that good stuff. Hope to see them running around in their new Team Ordinary gear. But it's just nice to meet new people that are local and add them to the team and kind of bring them in with us and to see them actually out there getting in quality miles. Awesome, just awesome. And then there were the two big ones, right? The two big awards, our last two awards that we gave out outside of the daily raffle that we do. The first was the Most Miles Award. Now, I thought all along, I was trying to remember back to the first year we did this race, and I thought it was Brian Burke that had the record. He had actually run a 100-mile ultra marathon the first weekend of the race that year, and then recovered the rest of the week. But still, I thought he won the most miles. But on second thought, it was a friend of mine, Ed Burns, who doesn't really get involved with the race anymore. He was kind of just a work friend who, the guy would run practically 20 miles a day. Anyway, I think he was somewhere around 120 to 140 miles for the week. Or for the 10-day race in the first year. Last year, Brian Yarborough won. He actually set the tone for this year back then. So last year, Ronald Booz was up in the last day, and then Yarborough did something like he ran 50 miles in the very last day to take the victory, to snatch it right out of Ronald Booz's hands, which set up this year's rematch. Now, going into the last day, both of them had run over 100 miles. Right around 100 miles, both of them, after Saturday. And I'm sitting there thinking, all right, you don't have to go crazy, right? You don't have to go crazy on this last day. It's just a charity race. It's just a virtual charity race. Have fun. We're here to have fun. These guys go after it, though. These guys, and they both kind of did it in their quiet way. No one announced how many miles they were going to run that last day. No one said anything on social media from the morning to the afternoon. It's just quietly passing by, wondering, is Brian Yarborough just sitting there watching TV and having a few beers? Or is he out there getting some miles in? And knowing these guys, I should have expected what happened. Yarborough went out and put in, I want to say he kicked out about 34 miles on Sunday. Not to be outdone this year, though. The revenge was enacted by Ronald Booz, who went out, and I believe he ran 43 miles on the last day. I think his total miles right around 145 for the Ordinary Marathon, and I'm just in awe. I am just in awe that you guys would go out there and just go after it that way. What an insane achievement, and what a battle. Just two titans going after it, and subtly, quietly, underneath the radar. And I'm just texting them at like 10 o'clock at night. Hey, you guys put in your miles yet? Like, are you still running? And Ronald was. Ronald ran a full marathon in the morning and then started putting extra miles in at night because he didn't think he was going to get enough. And the thing was, he was right. He wasn't going to get enough because Yarborough had done 34. How insane. What a battle. Amazing job. And I'm happy to be the person who gets to kind of cultivate that and watch that happen. Amazing job. And then the last award, which we give out every year. I think some people kind of forget about this one. They don't really try to go for it. And I think what winds up happening, someone wins it by accident. Now, I listed a lot of the inspirational things that happened during the marathon and the people who I took note of, the people who inspired me. But in the very last couple days of the race, we had one athlete, Christine Hurd, a Canadian, who got injured and wasn't able to finish her total miles for the race to get to 26.2, which was her goal. And we had two runners. We had Tamara Johnson, And we also had Mike Roman's son, Nathan. He's less than 10 years old, I would think. Again, I'm trying to guess, but I don't want to, you don't want to say, oh, he's like 7 years old, and it turns out he's 13, and then, then it's on the podcast, but and then he gets embarrassed. But I'd say he's probably less than 10. So Tamara and Mike's son Nathan went out, and they split the difference. Tamara took half the miles that Christine had left. I think she had 5 miles left. So Tamara took 2.5, and Nathan took 2.5. And they went out and they got it done in Christine's honor. And when I see people kind of do that and just selflessly say, hey, we were watching you and you were getting it done. And it sucks that you were so close to getting your goal and then you missed out because of something like an injury. And I know it's sort of symbolic, right? It's not real. It's not like she's doing the miles. It's not, but to do miles in someone else's name when a situation like that occurs, I think is very selfless, and it's thinking of somebody else and then following through with that, running those miles and then saying, hey, I know you couldn't do it, but I picked up that torch for you and I did it for you. There is meaning behind that. And I'm so, the symbolic meaning behind that is so moving and touching to me, and is what this race is all about. It is what this race is all about, from the charity aspect of it, and the selflessness of it all. Nathan and Tamara, you guys win our most inspirational award for this year. Now, Nathan wasn't necessarily registered for the race, but Nathan, you're going to get one of these medals, because you deserve it, buddy. You absolutely deserve it for something like that. And Tamara, I think we're sending you Brian Burke's metal rack. He's the hand-carved metal rack that he makes. But man, this whole last 10 days has been wonderful, amazing, inspirational. And I'm going to take that. I'm going to use that as motivation going forward in my own personal training. I hope you guys do too, because being a part of something like this is just, it feels good. It makes me feel good that we can put it on. It makes me feel good that you guys actually participate. And that you take it to that next level. Like, it's serious. It's good stuff. And that there's no, even at the highest level, like Ronald Booz versus Brian Yarbrough, Brian may not have won this year. But there's no animosity there. It's almost like you guys want the other guy to win in a certain way. It's like you want to put in the effort, you want to do the best that you can, but if that other person beats you, it's like that's just going to fuel you more in the future. And for Brian to come off an injury, by the way, he just had surgery this past year, and then to put up over 130 miles in 10 days. Just incredible. So I hat tip to all you guys. Hat tip to everybody who did this race. We raised, I believe, $720 from registrations for charity. We raised another $30 or $40 just in straight out donations. I know some of you guys have asked me for the donation. What do you call it? For like the link to donate directly to the SamFund. So I know some of you have done that. And then June Walker gave away a basket of homemade goods and homemade things that she made, crafts, cups, coasters, that kind of thing. They were really cool. And Wendy Gibbs, right? She bid, I think, $80 for it. That money is all going to go to charity. So over $800, probably closer to, $830 raised for charity this year. Great job, guys. Great job. I couldn't be more proud. A couple other things to note. Friday night, we did our happy hour and coaches panel. We did it with Denny Cray. Had a great discussion with Denny. You guys asked a lot of really great questions. We talked a lot about heart rate training. That video, the video of the happy hour and coaches panel, that has been uploaded now to YouTube. It was a Zoom meeting, so we've uploaded that to YouTube. You can check it out if you're interested. I thought it was really cool. It's probably about an hour and a half long. But some really good information there. I want to thank Denny Cray for helping us out with that. We're going to be looking to do another one in a couple of weeks too. Right now, I've got two invites out. I'm just waiting to hear back. One is a motivational speaker. He's really good. He's been on the podcast. I hope I can get him. And then the other is a personal trainer. And I thought that would be really good. A lot of people ask me about strength training. And look, I got answers. I do a lot of strength training myself. But when it comes to like You can really get specialists to find out exactly what are the best exercises for you. What are the things that you should be doing? How, if your focus is marathon running or triathlon, what are the most optimal? We don't have time, right? We don't have more time to throw on top of. We're already working out 13 hours a week. How do we maximize the efficiency of, the half hour to hour that you can put in the weight room, in season, off season? How do you change things around? I think that would be a really good topic of discussion for our next coaches panel. I got someone in mind. I've got an invite out to them already, but I'm just waiting to hear back on some of those. So hopefully we'll be doing that again. I'm really looking forward to those. Those have been really fun and really fun to do. And you guys have been really good participating in. I think we had about a dozen people. It's funny, at the time it started, we had like 6 people, and I'm thinking, man, it's like you have a party and no one shows up, and then all of a sudden people started showing up. So I felt good. I felt good about it. Denny had a good time, and the feedback I got was, hey, you guys, we're doing good with that. It's a good idea. We should keep on going with that. So look forward to the next happy hour. I mentioned this briefly during the podcast, but on Wednesday, so this is actually tomorrow evening, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. Right now, it's looking like me and Mike Romans. We did a FTP test a little over a month ago. On Zwift, we did the ramp test. We're going to be redoing that test. Now, I've sent an invite out to a couple other people. If you're interested in joining me tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, and doing the ramp test, I would love to see you there. I'd love to have you in the group and pushing right along with us as we go at it, and try to see see if we've improved over the last month or so after doing so many miles. It'd be interesting to see. Ronald Booz is going to be joining us. Ron just got his Zwift set up a couple weeks ago. He's nuts. He's going after it already. He's crushing Zwift like crazy. But I think he's going to join us tomorrow, but that will be his first FTP test, so it should be interesting to see how he does. So anyone else out there who wants to do the test and be live stream on our YouTube channel, let me know. Happy to add you to the group. If you're on Zwift, add yourself to the group, or call me, let me know. Email me, whatever. We'll add you to the group ride, and you could do your FPT ramp test on our live stream Ordinary Marathoner channel on YouTube. So that's about it. That's all we got for today. Keep an eye out. We're still kind of finalizing the numbers, for the donation. We'll be bringing that. I don't know if we're going to hand deliver it this year like we did last year because of all the COVID stuff. We might, though. We'll keep an eye open for that. We have 2021 registration opening soon. There will be a raffle soon. So, we're just looking to kind of roll over the great feelings that we have from this year's race into next year's race, get you guys signed up, make sure that we get a good start on next year's race now. That's our tagline here. Registration is always open, so we got to make sure that it's open for you guys, and we'll be sending out if you're on our mailing list, you'll be getting something about that real soon. Thanks again for joining us. Thank you for listening. If you've participated in Ordinary Marathon and you were out there running miles for us, I can't thank you enough. And if you're kind of watching from the outside, there's a lot of you guys who, for whatever reason, it's just not your thing, and that's totally cool. Totally cool. I get it. Virtual runs sometimes for me, I'm like, it's hard. It's hard to be involved. It's hard to stay involved. So look, if you are part of our group and you hang around and you talk to me on Twitter and you're in our Facebook discussion group and you just didn't register, cool, fine by me. Love having you guys around, love having you guys as listeners. And remember, every day is an ordinary day unless you make it extraordinary. We've had a lot of extraordinary days in the past 10 days. Thank you so much. Have a good one, guys.